Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Strictly Sports. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by Michael Bullock. We are awaiting the presence of good old MF Michael Fletcher. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. But we got a lot of things to get into, so let's not waste any time. Let's dive right on in. Our lead story this week: the NFL owners approve 17-game season starting this year. NFL owners approved the expansion from the regular season to 17 games Tuesday, a long expected decision that will generate additional revenue for the country's richest sports league. Players agreed to the additional game as part of their 2020 collective bargaining agreement, which gave the league an option to expand as soon as the 2021 season. The preseason will be reduced from 4 games to 3 to maintain compliance with the CBA, which limits the total number of preseason and regular season games played to 20. There will remain one bye week per team. The season will begin on Thursday night, September 9, and will end on January 9, 2022. The Pro Bowl will be played on February 6th, 2022 at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and Super Bowl 56 at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles has been pushed back 1 week from February 6th to February 13th of 2022. All right, we got MF in here, and just getting started here. Anyways, the formula for scheduling a season with an odd number of games will consist of 2 parts. First, AFC and NFC teams will alternate annually between 8 and 9 home games. The AFC will have 9 in 2021. The extra game will be a cross-conference matchup based on the previous year's divisional standings and the division schedule rotation from 2 seasons prior. The full 2021 schedule will be released later this spring. And when it does, we will have our huge annual Strictly Sports NFL schedule release special. That should be sometime next month. The NFL said that the enhanced season will guarantee that starting in 2022, each team will play an international game at least once every 8 seasons. Up to 4 neutral site games will be scheduled with the initial focus on Canada, Europe, Mexico, South America, and the United Kingdom. The league said interested teams can also volunteer to play home games internationally, as they currently can do. Chris Halpin, the NFL's executive VP and chief strategy and growth officer, said that Germany is among the countries that could host the game in the coming years. Player salaries won't change, but they will be paid over 18 weeks rather than 17. Some player benefits will be altered, however. The owner's decision to activate the 17-game option will trigger changes to off-season and in-season workouts, according to NFLPA Assistant Executive Director of External Affairs George Atala. Among them is a reduction in the maximum amount of time players can be required to spend at a team facility during the season. The NFLPA has been advocating since December to make last year's virtual off-season permanent as a way to reduce wear and tear on their bodies. The league is working on a plan for this year's off-season program, which will be affected in at least some way by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. In a Tuesday memo obtained by ESPN, the league informed teams that OTAs for all teams will begin on April 19th. In previous years, teams with new head coaches were allowed to begin 2 weeks earlier than others. OTAs remain voluntary for all players per the CBA. COVID-19 testing protocols established last year will remain in place, and workout bonuses and player contracts must be paid as specified in those contracts. The league and the NFL and the NFLPA expect to continue over the next 10 days discussion of other matters regarding the offseason program, including whether OTA meetings will be held virtually or in person, what the requirements and restrictions will be for on-field participation, and other matters. The memo states that if no agreement is reached between the league and the players' union on those issues, current CBA guidelines will govern 2021 OTAs. Tuesday's approval came 1 year after owners expanded the playoff field from 12 to 14 games, a decision that created 2 additional playoff games that was estimated to generate $150 million in additional annual revenue. Most NFL revenue is split with players according to the terms of the CBA. The addition of the 17th game pushes the players' distribution to 48.5% of shareable revenue. Assurances of this expansion were baked in the new media distribution rights the league announced earlier this month with Amazon, CBS, ESPN, ABC, Fox, and NBC. According to multiple reports, those deals will bring the NFL and its players more than $100 billion in revenue between the 2023 and 2033 seasons. The NFL has played 16-game seasons since 1978, but some owners have been pushing to expand for more than a decade. The league came close to imposing it in 2014 without an agreement from players, but ultimately tabled the plan to save it as a bargaining chip for next CBA. So there you have it. Those are all the schematics here, and very exciting to say the very least, and especially the 17th game for that will go down. It'll be NFC at AFC, and we don't have to worry about the networking. I mean, normally that would be a Fox scenario, but obviously CBS will have a hand in this too, and there will be a Sunday nighter in there, maybe even a Monday nighter. We'll see. But if the schedule holds up, obviously the game would be Green Bay against Kansas City. That would be the big one right there. I mean, no other game comes close. The only game that comes remotely close to that one would have to be it would have to be Dallas and New England, a Derek Ferreira Bowl, if you will. But then again, there are some other good games in here upon further review. The Washington football team against my Buffalo Bills. The Seattle Seahawks against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That should be a good one. The LA Rams against the Baltimore Ravens. The Arizona Cardinals against the Cleveland Browns. The Chicago Bears against the Las Vegas Raiders. And those are the standouts. But Green Bay at Kansas City, that's obviously the game right there. That's going to be the big one. So, but it's very exciting. I'm very excited about all this. I mean, I can't wait to see it all go down. And, you know, things just keep on getting better for the NFL. I mean, coming off a very exciting season this past season, even with all the COVID stuff. And of course, the expanded postseason, including that Super Wildcard weekend, which was fun for us. 3 wildcard games on Saturday and Sunday. And you've heard it all. So I can't wait to get it all started. It starts on September the 9th, the Thursday, and it'll go for 4 months up until January the 9th of 2022. Pro Bowl on February 6th. And then, of course, the week after, February 13th, Super Bowl 56, and it will mark the latest a Super Bowl game has ever been played. So lots to think about here. And, you know, next month, of course, it'll be a busy month for us. We got 2 of our biggest shows of the year when we recap the NFL draft. And then, of course, when the schedule does come out, we have our big annual schedule release special. 2 of our biggest shows of the year. And, you know, they're rapidly approaching. We're about a month away from both. So let's get it on, boys. That's all there is to say on that. So great job all around. I'm very excited. So not much more to say. MF, the Phil Simms to my Jim Nantz. I mean, a 17th game. It's now official. We're getting it as of Tuesday. And how about it? What do you think of all those?
Well, the way I feel about it is that there is a lot of excitement. I think that's the best way to say it. It's a big deal to get 17 games now in the NFL, 17 regular season games. That is, it's going to be it's a huge deal. You know, there was talk at one point for 18 games with 2 bye weeks, making it a 20-week NFL season. That was the talk at the very beginning, but then they decided to go just 17. So maybe 18 down the line, open it up even more. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Now there's talk about maybe expanding the playoff again. You know, yes, you got 7, but now they're talking about maybe going 8. Going with 8 teams instead. Now, you start thinking about that, you're thinking, wait a minute, that would be 16 teams. Now, that would be the perfect scenario for all of us. Because at that point you would think, all right, four on 16 teams, 4 on each day. You can do basically like a 1, 4, 7, 10. Go like that. A whole day's worth of football. Oh God, help us all if that ever happens. We're gonna be burning the midnight oil at that. Especially the West Coast games. Starting a game at 10, that sucker ain't ending till maybe 1:30 in the morning. Yes, please let me do it. I would be so for it. But we just gotta wait and see. There's been a lot of pushback from the players though. A lot of players are not happy with this, which is totally understandable. Because you're thinking, wait a minute. Do we really need a 17th game? Putting our bodies on the line, all this stuff, the whole 9 yards, and then you're going into wild card weekend next weekend? So I get where they're coming from, but for those teams, maybe a 17th game might be what you need. Sometimes you see teams miss out a game by 1 game. Getting a 17th game gives you one more opportunity to possibly get into the playoffs. It's going to make a lot of drama. It's going to cause a lot of chaos. We're going to see how this plays out. But it's going to be very interesting to watch and to see how this plays out. So we'll wait and see how it happens. But for the fans, it's exciting. It's a great day for football because that means more football for us. More games we're going to have to focus on. That means we're going to be working even harder now because now we got one extra game that we're going to have to do in our rotation for, in the very near future. So we got that going on. So, it pushes everything back a week, making the Super Bowl now mid-February, right around Valentine's weekend, possibly. So, Valentine's week, it's gonna fall on that night. All right, that's fine. We can do an extra week. We can live with that. It's just, how is it gonna look? How's this gonna play out? We're just gonna have to wait and see. But I'm very optimistic. I know there's been a lot of pushback from the Players Association, especially the players themselves. They are not happy, and this is going to be very interesting. How are they going to compensate the players because of this 17th game? That's going to be the real sticking point on this. So nothing more to say, Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm excited for this 17th game. Like you said, it gives one more game and one more opportunity for those that are fighting for a postseason spot. We've seen before, guys, like you said, Fletch. We've seen teams miss out on the playoffs by just one game. So maybe this extra game will definitely help them out. But yeah, I've heard all the rumblings of the Players Association not happy about it. The players certainly ain't happy. But yeah, who knows? Maybe this will work for them. But we're gonna have to wait and see. With this 17th game being an inter-conference game, that's gonna be something to watch, especially like you said, when you got the Packers and the Chiefs, you got the Cowboys and the Patriots. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. So there's really nothing more for me to add to it. I'm excited about it. So Florio, let's move on.
Yes, sir. And we're now going to move on to the NBA trading deadline. And it's only fitting that good old MF Michael Fletcher starts off on this. So MF, I know this is a busy time for you. I know you're the one who covers this more than anybody. So NBA trade deadline, MF, hit us with the big moves there that you came across during this time. All right. Well, before we get into that, let's address what has happened here. Another trade deadline has come and went, and it went down about a week ago, and just trying to find the information here. Okay. 2021 NBA trade deadline has officially passed, with a flurry of moves putting new faces in new places. The Miami Heat finalized the deal to acquire Victor Oladipo from the Houston Rockets. The LA Clippers found their veteran point guard in a deal that netted them Rajon Rondo from the Atlanta Hawks. The Orlando Magic were busy sending Nikola Vucevic to the Chicago Bulls, Evan Fournier to the Boston Celtics, and Aaron Gordon to the Denver Nuggets in 3 separate deals. Meanwhile, Kyle Lowry remains the Toronto Raptors point guard after Masai Ujiri and company decided to hold on to him. His former teammate Norman Powell was moved, however, as he heads to Portland. And the New Orleans Pelicans held on to Lonzo Ball, but did send JJ Redick to Dallas. So that's the latest here that I have according to my notes. So MF, if you're ready, NBA trade deadline. I know how extensive you follow this, especially in years past. I know you covered it a lot, and
oh yeah,
and I'm sure this year was no exception. So, NBA trade deadline. What happened?
Well, this one was very interesting because a lot of people really thought that this was going to go a lot of different ways. But, the biggest moves that were coming out of the trading deadline for this year, it really took a lot by surprise. So, I guess let's dive into it really from the very beginning, once we got to the big day. So going into this, there was a lot of talk about Aaron Gordon. There was a lot of talk about a lot of teams that they were going to do. So literally, after we got into it, there was a couple of here and there trades, like a JaVale McGee going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was like a nice little thing. But then we had some big news. Nikolai Vucevic goes to the Chicago Bulls in exchange, and that was the moment where we were like, whoa. Because Nikolai Vucevic was one of the big 3 of the Orlando Magic. And for him to go to Chicago, whoa, that was a big move for Chicago. And they didn't lose Zach LaVine. If you're a Chicago Bulls fan right now, you are ecstatic because of the fact that you didn't lose your marquee superstar. Zach LaVine is your best player. Nikolai Vucevic is a big guy. If you can put these 2 guys around together, put some pieces around them, all of a sudden, we're talking about maybe the Chicago Bulls maybe being a playoff team, but not an elite playoff team. Let's be realistic here. But at least maybe a 6, 7, 8 seed. They could get back in it, put some pieces around. All of a sudden, the Bulls are back. They could be dangerous. Then after that, then we got the big news that yes, it did happen. That was the trade. Then we were looking at Evan Fournier going to the Boston Celtics. That was a huge deal for Boston. I like the trade. This was a really good trade. Everything went down, and that was perfect for them. And then on top of that, then we had Rajon Rondo going to the LA Clippers. Now remember, Rondo was a big influence and a big reason why the LA Lakers won the NBA title last year. Now Rondo goes to the Clippers, the rival of the Lakers, trying to bring that magic. You got already Kawhi Leonard there. You already got Paul George there. You're thinking maybe he's the final piece of that puzzle that can get the Clippers over the hump. We'll see. Then at almost 12:30 on deadline day, the biggest domino dropped. That was Aaron Gordon, the multi-time superstar, the all-star of the Orlando Magic, and slam dunk legend. Yes, I call him a slam dunk legend because in my mind, he should have won 2 dunk contests. Not 1, but 2. He goes to the Denver Nuggets. That makes Denver one of the favorites to win the West right now. That was a major trade, unbelievable deal to get. Yeah, that was a big get as well. Then after that, then the Philadelphia 76ers acquires, there was a 3-team trade that was a good, okay, good night, love you too, which was a good deal for them as well. Of course, the Toronto makes a move. Then after that, it was kind of a couple of here and there small trades. Then you got Terrence Davis going to the Sacramento Kings. Then Chicago is looking at possibly getting Lonzo Ball. The trade doesn't happen. Then the Rockets makes a bomb, dropping Victor Oladipo to the Miami Heat. Whoa, that's a game changer in the East. Victor Oladipo, who was a really good player with the Indiana Pacers, but he tore his ACL, had a major injury, never really transpired. He was good for Houston, but never really had a big moment. Now he joins with Hassan Whiteside. He joins a team with Jimmy Butler. That's a 2-headed monster, guys. That could be dangerous, and that could be the final piece of the puzzle for Miami to make a run back to the NBA Finals. So we don't know how this plays out, and that was really the biggest trade of them all. And then you had Marquise Chris going to San Antonio. Then you had a couple of smaller trades. JJ Redick going to Dallas. That was a nice little trade. Then you had all the buyouts, as you could say, and the biggest buyout, LaMarcus Aldridge going to the Brooklyn Nets. That was the oh my God moment, because at that point you're like, are you kidding me? When it comes to the trading deadline, it was pretty quiet, but let me tell you, there was a couple of ripples around, and you're like, okay, there's some stuff going around. There was a little bit of some quiet stuff, but there was some bombs going off on deadline day. We all were ducking and covering. Because when the Oladipo dropped, when Rondo dropped, when Aaron Gordon, when literally the Orlando Magic just went boom, right before our very eyes. Nikolai Voltic, Evan Fournier, and then Aaron Gordon, boom, 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 in a succession. You're like, oh my God, what's going on? There's been some years where it's been very quiet, very disappointing. This year, Anthony, the NBA trading deadline, there was some good stuff for us, and as an NBA fan, I was very happy. Yes, I was burning a little bit of some of the oil, trying to make sure I can get everything in, but my goodness, man, there was a period, I want to say around between 2 and 3:30, where it was fast and furious that even I was trying to keep up with a lot of the news, because it was, especially once the deadline hit, it was flying, all the news. So, Yeah, this was a good trading deadline. And now in about a couple of weeks, the NHL has their trading deadline. And I got a feeling the NHL's got some big moves coming. So we'll wait and see what happens then. But yeah, no, there's really nothing more to say. Some good trades that helps a lot of teams. Definitely certain teams that are maybe one player away from an NBA, from what they believe could be an NBA Finals run, especially if you're a team like Brooklyn, if you're a team like Miami, if you're a team like Denver. These were moves you needed to possibly make a run at the NBA title. Right now, the Lakers are the reigning champions, but they're falling. They're slipping. With LeBron hurt, with Anthony Davis hurt, they're a wounded animal right now. This is the moment to exploit. Put your forces together. There's a very good chance we might have a new NBA champion when this is all said and done this year. You don't know. We'll see. But yeah, trading deadline, Anthony, was very interesting. Mike Bullock, if you want to jump in a little bit, I mean, Boston got a big guy. Evan Fournier is definitely no slouch. Do you think that that's the final piece of the puzzle that could get Boston over the top, possibly make a run at the NBA Finals, go for your 18th trophy?
Well, I think the thing is, Fletch, I mean, I like the addition of Fournier, but I think the Celtics should have done like a little bit more because with the way they've been playing, I just don't see how they can be a championship contender. I mean, they could still make the playoffs, but I just think they needed to do more to really help with some of the issues that they.
I agree with that. I think they need another big man because I think they got a lot of guards, they got a lot of PowerPoint forwards, but there's no real big man in the middle. And don't get me wrong, I love Taco Fall, and Taco's great, but you need another big guy. You need a big starter. I just don't, and I think that's the one thing that Boston does not have that they should have gone after in the trading deadline. So I agree with that.
Yeah, because what's the one thing you need? I mean, especially it's getting the rebounds, and you need a big guy, another big guy to help out with that. Well, not just on the rebounds, but defensively too. So I think they definitely could have done some more, but yeah, I like some of the other moves that were made at the trade deadline, especially with Aaron Gordon. So yeah, definitely a lot of moves made at the trade deadline. So Florio, I give it to you.
Miami Heat are the hands down biggest winner. After a couple lean years post LeBron, Pat Riley hasn't been quite able to recreate his past success in free agency. But the Heat have seemingly become quite adept at acquiring capable players out of thin air via trade. Jimmy Butler engineered his way to a Miami squad that didn't really have cap space in 2019, and all it cost Riley was Josh Richardson. Since traded, and Hassan Whiteside now on a backup on a vet minimum. And now Riley bringing in sharpshooting forward Nemanja Bjelica from Sacramento and a former All-Star in Oladipo from Houston. And it only cost them one player, Kelly Olynyk, who was a regular part of the Heat's rotation. Rest of the gang shipped out. Mo Harkless, Avery Bradley, Chris Silva combined to appear in only 32 games this year. Add the Myers-Leonard for a Trevor Ariza swap, and Riley not only managed to dump the team's dead weight for players who could contribute during a playoff series, but he also opened up a couple of roster spots to maybe get another big name. But the moves may not position Miami to make a run as deep as it did in the bubble. And the questions remain about how effective Oladipo, who hasn't played in back-to-backs this season, can be. Still, it's a nice haul for the Heat, who should have a much more sensible rotation if they can get everyone healthy at the same time. And doing all of this while holding on to young growing players like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson means Miami should remain competitive in the short term while also remaining in the mix the next time a bigger fish may want out. So Miami is definitely the big winner here, no question about that. Brooklyn getting LaMarcus Aldridge. Derek did a video on this the other day. Philly getting George Hill from the Thunder. I mean, the Raptor guard, definitely the most impact player available at the deadline, yet nobody could pry him loose from Toronto, and the Sixers reportedly balked at the Raps asking price. and after years of way too much tinkering, Daryl Morey's restraint is certainly welcome on some level. But Lowry was the kind of guy we're chasing. As far as the championship hunt goes, it's a bummer he didn't land on a team of more consequences as the Raptors struggle through a slog of a season in Tampa. The Nets aren't battle-tested. The Bucks have had their own playoff issues. Philly may have a legitimate title shot this year, and a player like Lowry would have given them one more level to get to. While the Sixers didn't strike out entirely, I wonder if they may come to regret not being more aggressive. And LeBron and Anthony Davis are certainly winners. Getting Andre Drummond there. The Nuggets have been A for effort. And for the New York Knicks, a quiet deadline for them with no head-scratching, short-sighted moves as they sit in fifth in the East is perhaps the strongest sign that 2021 is going to be a very different year. So, but all in all, MF really touched on all of it. So, fantastic deadline there. No question about that. So with that being said, let's move on to a story that that made me very happy. Once Michael Bullock reported it after we went off the air a week ago. Hello, friends. The voice of CBS Sports ain't going nowhere. Jim Nantz, the face of CBS Sports and the network's lead announcer for the NFL, and of course March Madness and the Masters and all that. Just bear with me for 1 minute here, as I ended up getting a pop up here. So all right. Jim Nantz, Sports Business. He has himself a brand new contract. Sports Business Journal first broke the news. Jim Nantz will remain at CBS Sports for many more years. The network's top announcer signed a new deal to stay at the network for an undisclosed number of years, according to both CBS Sports and Nantz's agent, Sandy Montag. While CBS Sports and Montag confirmed the deal, both declined to provide specifics about it, including the contract's length or his new salary. Nantz's current deal, which is believed to pay him $6.5 million a year, was due to expire this spring. The New York Post's Andrew Marchand reports, even with no other sincere interest, CBS did give Nantz a sizable raise from the $6.5 million a year he was previously making. Sources said CBS had gone as high as the $10.5 million per year range, which would put Nantz on par with what Fox's Joe Buck and NBC's Mike Tirico make. The exact figure of Nantz's new deal is not known. One thing Marchand can confirm is that Nantz's new contract did not come close to matching Tony Romo's 10-year, $180 million deal as he initially sought. So there's all that. So not much more to say. I'm just gonna give it to the man who reported this, Michael Bullock. He reported this to us a little after we went off the air a week ago, but nonetheless, the man staying at CBS Sports. Hello, friends.
And yes, you'll be hearing that quote from him for many more years to come on CBS. And to me, he is the face of CBS Sports. And CBS knew they had to do everything they could to keep him with this company. And I couldn't even fathom what would have happened if he went somewhere else. To me, I'll be quite honest, CBS Sports would never be the same again if Jim Nantz went someplace else. He's the heart and soul of that franchise. With all the work he's done throughout his years, first, doing the NFL Today, and then, of course, transitioning to being the lead broadcaster for the NFL, working with so many guys, especially Phil Simms, and of course his current partner in crime, Tony Romo. with the two of them working a couple of Super Bowls. Of course, the most previous one, Super Bowl 55, and of course, the one I enjoy. And Florio, you know where I'm going with this one from a couple of years ago. Super Bowl 53, the Patriots and the Rams, and of course, who could all forget about his work, of course, covering the Masters, and it won't be long before you see him out there at Augusta next weekend. I mean, you'll be hearing that legendary voice of his, especially on the 18th tower at Augusta, and yeah, this is and of course he's still doing work, of course, with we'll be seeing him with the Final Four this upcoming weekend. So yeah, this is something CBS had to do. They had to get it done. They did, and now you'll be hearing that voice, legendary voice of his, for many years to come. So great job by CBS to keep him there. So Florio, your man staying at CBS, and like I said, if they didn't re-sign him, CBS Sports would never be the same.
Absolutely not. And I was very pleased when I saw that you had reported this story after we went off the air last week. Bullock, I mean, it's no secret. Both you and MF know how much Jim Nantz has influenced me personally as an up and coming, broadcaster, which is what the three of us are. I mean, MF and I, since we were little boys, since we were about 11 years old, our dreams were to become sports commentators. I mean, whether it be in the world of the big four sports or in the world of professional wrestling, I mean, our dream was to be a broadcaster. And for me, one of the many men who has inspired me in our ongoing quest happens to be one Jim Nantz. I mean, for me, my top three when it comes to influences, in no particular order: Jim Nantz, Bob Costas, and Joe Buck. I mean, those were the three guys who did it for me. I mean, but nobody had a more bigger impact on me than Jim Nantz. And then I think that really came about when he became the new voice of the new lead number one guy for the NFL, when he took over that role in 2004, when he took over that role from Greg Gumbel. And but nonetheless, I mean, the Hello Friends, I mean, that really stuck with me. And, I always sign in doing it with on this show. And I also put it on my social media posts. And but man alive, I mean, a man who's done so much for that network. I mean, he's been with them since 1985. He's been there 36 years. I mean, just amazing. And but he's done it all. I mean, Bullock mentioned everything. I mean, a member of the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame and the youngest to ever be inducted into both the Pro Football and Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, 3-time Emmy Award winner, 5-time National Sportscaster of the Year since joining CBS in 1985, has been the lead play-by-play voice for the NFL on CBS since 2004. For 13 years, he teamed with Phil Simms, and since 2017, Nantz has teamed with Tony Romo as the lead NFL announce team, calling the network's top game each week. 2019, like Bullock said, he called his fifth Super Bowl 53 from Atlanta. And in addition, from 2014 to 18, he called the NFL Thursday Night Football games. And from 98 to 03, he anchored the NFL Network's pregame show, The NFL Today. And that was before James Brown came in. This year marked Nantz's 35th year covering the NCAA Division I tournament. He's called play-by-play on more network broadcasts of the Final Four and championship game than any other announcer in the tournament's history. From 86 to 90, he served as host of CBS's coverage of the tournament and Final Four. He took over as lead play-by-play announcer in 1991, where he was teamed with the legendary Billy Packer. And since 2015, he has teamed with Bill Raftery and Grant Hill to call regular season and NCAA tournament games. In addition to being the lead play-by-play announcer for the network's NFL and college basketball games, Nance anchors CBS's golf coverage. He joined the golf team in 86, became the anchor of the network's golf coverage in April of 94, and was partnered with Ken Venturi until June of 2002. Sir Nick Faldo has partnered with Nance since assuming the lead analyst role in 07, and Nance has hosted broadcasts of the Masters since 88 and the PGA Championship since 91, and served as anchor of the biennial President's Cup in 1994 and 1996. And in 2007, he became the first commentator in history to complete the rare broadcasting 3-feat, calling the Super Bowl, the NCAA Men's Final Four, and the Masters all in a span of 63 days. And he once again repeated this trifecta in 2010, 2013, and 2016. In 2019, he completed an even rarer quintet, calling the AFC Championship, Super Bowl, Final Four, Masters, and PGA Championship in a span of 120 days. I mean, I could go on and on, but, you know, we got a lot more to get into, but man, I mean, no broadcaster has had more of an influence and a positive impact on me personally than one Jim Nance, and he definitely deserves this. And I'm glad he's staying. It would have been tough if he had left, but thankfully they worked it out, and he's going nowhere. And just congratulations to him on one hell of a career. And to you, sir, I simply say thank you. And I know I normally say this when, you know, somebody passes away, but I'm making an exception here. To you, sir, I simply say thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for being your wonderful self, Jim. You deserve it, brother. And thank you for the influence that you've had, not just on me, but on all of us as well. Well deserved. So there's not much more to say. MF, the voice of CBS Sports, ain't going nowhere. He's staying for a long, long time. Who knows how long, but 35 years and counting.
And well deserved. There's no doubt about it. Jim Nance is the voice of CBS. When it comes to CBS Sports, it's him and Kevin Harlan. I think we can honestly say that if for some reason Nance would have left, I believe Kevin Harlan was going to be the next in line. I honestly believe Kevin Harlan probably would have been the man, or even Iron Eagle. Iron Eagle has been definitely the number 2 when it comes to the NFL. I believe he is the number 2 commentator for the NFL, and I know in the NCAA he's one of the top crews in the NCAA tournament. So I could definitely say that I could see either Iron Eagle or even Kevin Harlan would have become the new voices of the NFL on CBS. For Jim Nance, he's more than just college basketball. You know, he is the NFL. He is PGA golf, especially the Masters. You know his voice really well, and he has such a unique he's such a unique individual. One of the nicest guys that you hear about. You don't hear anything bad about him in the press or in the media. An easy person to relate to is what we hear. One of the nicest individuals. And he's a classy guy. Normally whenever you're replacing somebody great in the world of sports, especially in broadcasting, there's a lot of expectations for certain individuals that you just don't know if you're going to get. For a number of years, CBS was all about Pat Summerall, if you remember. And then when the CBS got the NFL back, it was Greg Gumbel at first. He was the guy. Then Nance took over, and basically the rest was history. That was the same thing in the NCAA. If you remember, they had a number of different commentators back in the day. Then Brent Musburger was the voice of the NCAA tournament. After he basically was the guy who was really the leading guy. You know, he was the Pat O'Brien. He was the quote unquote, I guess you could say the James Brown now. And they were the lead in to get into the NCAA tournament. And then he took over for Brent back in 1991. And I remember it very well. I remember watching that Final Four because that was when the Duke UNLV upset happened. And we all remember how he did that job, how he did that game. And, you know, it was the start of something amazing. I don't think a lot of people thought that Jim Nantz's career was going to be anything big, but he's had so many classic moments. No matter where you got, either in golf, you know, in the Masters, calling Phil Mickelson's legendary win on the 18th green when he hit that, I think it was like an 11-foot putt to win the green jacket for him. Or, you know, there's different guys that he has done in his career. You know, there's so much that we can talk about when it comes to Jim Nantz that, you know, he's now irreplaceable. You know, just like how Al Michaels for NBC, Joe Buck for Fox, and I know there's a lot of criticism for Joe Buck. A lot of people don't really like him, but you know, he is still a good commentator, a good announcer. You know, for the NHL with Doc Emmerich, and it feels so weird that he's not doing it this year. That, you know, he retired after the Stanley Cup final last year, but now he's, you know, in retirement. It feels weird. You know, for college football or for college basketball on Fox, it's our boy Gus Johnson, Mr. Squeals, as we like to call him, in the room because of some of his hyped up excitement, some of the way his commentary style is during the game. So I mean, yeah, it's good. It's amazing. It's to be unique. And there was a lot of rumors about what happened with Nantz. I know ESPN was pushing wicked hard to get him. They were offering him a monster deal. That was one of the reasons why they were trying to get him, because of the fact that, for one, there was the deal that ABC was going to get to do the Super Bowl in a few years, and they wanted Nantz to be the guy, to be the face for him going into that season. Unfortunately, CBS said, nope, we're not getting him. There was a little contention between the contract negotiations between Nantz and CBS, and ESPN thought they could probably steal him. No, CBS says, you ain't getting Nantz, and slams the door on him and gets the deal done. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for CBS. I'm happy for Jim Nantz. I think you guys would say it best. It definitely would have felt weird, different if Nantz was not on CBS, but we got him. So we get to see him on Saturday doing the Final Four. Monday night is the national championship. And then he's got to go to Augusta right behind that to do the Masters. So, yeah, we're going to – and then when football season comes around, we're going to get to hear him say hello, friends, one more time with his good friend Tony Romo for 17 weeks of NFL action, all the way up to the AFC Championship game. Unfortunately, no Super Bowl for CBS this year. It's on NBC. NBC gets the Super Bowl this year. So, but other than that, there's really nothing more to say. Nantz, if you're talking about Mount Rushmores of some of the greatest commentators and announcers of our generation, of our time, Nantz is definitely one of them. Anthony, it's a great day for CBS. It's a great day for the I Network, as we like to call it. the mothership, as we call it, because one of their greats, one of their legends, stays where he belongs. He is home with CBS.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. And like I said, I mean, we're all happy about it, but nobody's more happier than me, considering the immense influence that this man has had on on me personally. So, yeah, great day, no doubt about that. So, let's quickly get into this next story here. The New York Mets and shortstop Francisco Lindor agreed to a 10-year, $341 million deal. A source told ESPN's Jeff Passan on Wednesday. Lindor's deal will be the third largest based on total value in Major League history, trailing only the deals for the LA Angels' Mike Trout, $426.5 million, and the Dodgers' Mookie Betts at $365 million. The Mets were widely expected to sign Lindor to a long-term extension after acquiring the fourth-time All-Star in a blockbuster trade with Cleveland this offseason. The negotiations became a major storyline during spring training, with new Mets owner Steve Cohen writing on Twitter last week, What do you think Lindor will accept? I'm going to crowdsource the answer. Lindor had stated that he would go to free agency if he didn't have a deal in place by opening day, saying he did not want to negotiate during the season. The Mets opened the season against the Washington Nationals, but that's going to be on hold for a little bit because of some COVID issues, unfortunately. In January, the Mets avoided arbitration with Lindor by agreeing to a one-year, $22.3 million deal, fourth biggest one-year contract for an arbitration-eligible player, trailing Mookie Betts, $27 million with Boston last year, Nolan Arenado, $26 million with Colorado in 19, and Josh Donaldson, $23 million with Toronto in 18. Two-time Gold Glove winner, career .285 hitter, averaged 29 homers, 86 RBI, and 21 steals in his 6 Major League seasons, all with Cleveland, who drafted him in 2011. MLB Network first reported the news about Lindor's contract. Big deal indeed. And he's going to be the face of this franchise, obviously, and one of the key cogs, because a lot of the experts are very high on the Mets, including myself. And I'm going to make that quite clear when we get into our preview in just a moment. So, great shortstop in Cleveland, had a lot of great years in Cleveland, including that 2016 team that nearly won it all. Should have won it all, really, but they gagged it away after going up 3-1. So, but it is what it is, and he just made the Mets a hell of a lot better, and they're going to be one of the dark horse teams in the National League this upcoming year. So a great move all around, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. So, MF, quickly, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I know. This was a big deal. This was one of the big gets that the Mets wanted to get after they got Lindor. A lot of people were thinking, oh my goodness, this was a big deal for the New York Mets, and now they turn around and give him the contract that he deserves, a contract that makes him one of the richest players in the league, like you said, behind Mike Trout's big monster contract, and I think there was one other that you talked about, Florio. But the thing is, this makes him the cornerstone of the New York Mets. Now he becomes the face of the New York Mets. That's a big contract, but the guy is without a doubt one of the nastiest players in the game. And when I mean it, I mean that in a good way. Big deal for him. Nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, quick.
Yeah, I like this deal. I mean the Mets and Lindor got it done, and he's now the cornerstone, the leader of that franchise, and they expect a lot of big things out of him. I mean, he's been without a doubt one of the best shortstops in the game, and now he's going to have to prove that with his new team, the New York Mets. So there's nothing more to say. Florio, let's move on
to our 2021 Major League Baseball season preview, and we're going to start it off with the American League Eastern Division. MF, who's going to come out of the AL East, and are we going to have any wild card teams or two?
This one's going to be wicked tough to call, guys, but I'm going to say this. I got the New York Yankees winning the division. I think the Yankees will win the division. And as far as the number 2 team, I'm actually going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they're going to be the wild card. So I got really nothing more to add. Bullock is yours.
Yeah, I'm with Fletch on this one. I got the Yankees winning the division. I mean, they still got the team there, especially now they added Corey Kluber with Garrett Cole, and yeah, I got the Yankees winning the division, and I got the Tampa Bay Rays finishing second, and they're going to be one of the two wild card teams. So nothing more to say, Florio. It is yours.
Yeah, same here. The biggest question with the Yankees is their health. On paper and if healthy, the Yankees have one of the most talented teams in the game. Their lineup is filled with impressive power, while their pitching staff has several top of the rotation arms and a deep bullpen. This is a team that can not only win the division, but go on a deep run in the playoffs. But the question is whether or not they can stay healthy. The Yankees have been hammered by the injury bug over the past few years, particularly when it comes to Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. Corey Kluber and Jamison Talon, their two biggest pitching acquisitions, are coming off injury as well. The talent's there, but so are the question marks. Yankees are betting that they can stay healthy in 2021, and if that happens, this is the team to beat in the East. Tampa Bay, wild card team, I 100% agree with that. The focus with them always comes down to who they lost. But year in and year out, the Rays make prognosticators look foolish. And that'll probably be the case with the majority of this year's predictions as well. No, the Rays do not have the same pitching staff they had last year when they went to the World Series. However, they do boast impressive depth, potentially going 8 deep in their starting rotation. As teams will be facing unprecedented innings, jumps all year, having that depth could be the Rays' greatest strength. Likewise, the offense is still solid. Randy Arozarena broke out as a postseason star and is still rookie eligible. Austin Matthews was an all-star in 19 before collapsing last year. The Rays' offense could break out again this year, covering up any possible issues with the rotation. Every year, people want to count them out, and every year they do better than expected. So I had the Yankees finishing in first. I got Tampa finishing second. I got Toronto finishing third. I got Bullets Red Sox finishing fourth. And the Baltimore Orioles in dead last, as always. So not much more to say there. Let's get in now to the AL Central. Michael Bullock, pick me a winner in the Central. Who do you like there?
All right, my winner in the Central, I gotta go with the Minnesota Twins. I mean, I still think they got a good team here. I mean, you got Donaldson, you got Sano. I still think they got the team to win that division. I mean, yeah. And basically, I don't have anybody from the Central as a wild card. So there's really nothing more to say. Florio, who do you think's coming out of the Central?
Well, as great as Minnesota is, and they are, I disagree with you, Bullock. I have the Chicago White Sox winning this division this year. I am very high on this team. Find my notes here. After taking a major step forward in 2020, the White Sox went all in on winning the division this season. Lance Lynn has been brought in to help shore up the rotation, bringing a solid veteran capable of eating innings and being another mentor to the young arms. Liam Hendricks will lock down the 9th inning, giving Chicago the shutdown close that they needed. With that duo fortifying a strong pitching staff and an excellent lineup, the White Sox seem poised to build on last year's success. Even their coaching moves were geared to win now. Tony La Russa was a controversial choice to be the new manager, but nonetheless, I mean, I know there were a lot of questions about him coming in, and rightfully so, given his old age. But the man is a winner. I mean, we've seen what he can do. I mean, he's won championships in Oakland and in St. Louis. So bear with me for a minute. All right. And certainly did not do himself any favors when the details of his DUI arrest came out, but he's a proven winner, someone who could take the White Sox to the promised land. Right now, the White Sox appear to be the class of the AL Central, but this division could go down to the final days of the year. I actually have Cleveland finishing second. I got Minnesota finishing third. I got Kansas City finishing fourth, and I got Detroit finishing last. So, and I don't know if any teams will come out as a wild card, but The White Sox, that's my team to beat in the Central, and watch out for them. They could be a big dark horse this year. So MF, who do you like in the AL Central?
I'm actually in an agreement with you on this one. I also got to say Chicago. I think the moves that they made, especially during the offseason, is going to give them the opportunity to get there. So I got them winning. I got Cleveland 2. I got Minnesota 3. KC 4, Detroit 5. So, and unfortunately, no wild cards coming from this group. So, Florio, it's yours.
All right, and we move on to the American League West, and this definitely is going to be a much different division than in previous years, but especially with the big moves in Houston. But nonetheless, as I started off, I'm actually going to go with the Oakland A's to win this division. They had done nothing to upgrade their roster until February. Then suddenly they filled most of the holes on their roster. Oakland found their new shortstop in a trade with divisional rival Texas, landing Elvis Andrus to hold down the fort. Trevor Rosenthal was brought in to take over as their new closer. Rotation was inconsistent last season, but should benefit from a normal season, while the bullpen should be a strength once again. That does not mean that everything is perfect in Oakland. Second base is a giant question mark once again, with Jed Lowry as the potential answer this year. Health will be a major factor, as well as all-world third baseman Matt Chapman saw his effectiveness wane before his season was cut short due to hip surgery. The Oakland A's should have enough to defend their AL West title. However, it is not going to be easy, as winning the division was last year. And my other wild card team is the Houston Astros. The battle for the division will come down to the Houston Astros and the Oakland A's. For now, uncertainty about the Astros pitching staff keeps them behind Oakland. George Springer's departure leaves a major void in the Astros lineup, but this is a team that should still score runs. Core of the lineup is still in place, and Houston did manage to retain Michael Brantley when it appeared that he would join Springer in Toronto. Scoring runs should not be a problem. However, there are plenty of questions with the pitching staff. Zach Greinke and Jay Odorizzi are a solid 1-2, but the Astros need Lance McCullers Jr. to finally last a full season and other arms to step up. Ryan Presley, hardly a proven option as a closer, and the rest of the bullpen is filled with question marks. The Houston Astros may have enough to contend for a postseason berth due to a weaker division, but there are too many holes to take back the AL West, especially Springer. So I got the Oakland A's winning the division. I got Houston as a wild card team. I got the Angels finishing third. I got Seattle fourth, and I got Texas coming in last. So not much more to say. MF AL West.
Slight disagreement. I still got Houston winning the division, but I do got Oakland too, and they get the wild card. And the final three, I'm going Seattle, LA, Texas at the end. But I do agree. I think Houston and Oakland will be 1-2. But I disagree with you on this one. I got Houston winning the division. I got Oakland as the wild card rep. So, Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm with Fletch on this one. I got the Houston Astros winning the division, and then I got the Oakland A's as my other wild card team as well. So yes, and there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on, Florio.
NL East, it's only fitting MF has it. MF, I wonder who you're going to have winning this division this year. I can only guess.
This is going to be a dogfight. This is not as easy as it looks, Florio. Yes, the experts has Atlanta winning the division. I think Atlanta will win it. But it's going to be close. This is going to be wicked crazy. I mean, there's a legitimate case that any one of these five teams could win it. The Mets could win it. The Phillies could win it. The Nats could win it. The Marlins, after their incredible run they had a year ago, they have a shot at this. But Atlanta wins it. Phillies 2, Mets 3, Nats 4, Marlins 5. But let me say it, guys. This will be the most competitive division of all. I don't think we're going to have one. I don't think it's going to be like really, really bad because I think they're gonna be right there. This is gonna be a fight to the finish, but Atlanta should sneak out and win it. I'll even go as far to say Philadelphia gets one of my wild cards. I'll go and say it. Actually, do I want to say that? You know what? Yeah, I'll say it. Phillies get the wild card. So, Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm with the Fletch. This is going to be a very interesting division here. I mean, you got teams that could basically be in it throughout the entire season. So, as far as who I think is going to win the division, I got to go with Fletch's Atlanta Braves. I mean, I think they're the better team here. As far as well, and one of the teams coming from the wild card. I actually don't think it's going to be the Phillies. I think it's going to be the Mets. I mean, I really I got some high expectations for this team, especially now with the addition of Francisco Lindor. So, and I like this young group that they got. And I think they can pull it out. So, there's really nothing more to say. Florio, it is yours.
Yeah. I got it completely different as far as I'm concerned. I do agree Atlanta is going to win the division. Despite numerous injuries to their rotation, the Atlanta Braves pushed the Dodgers to 7 games in the NLCS. The Braves certainly feel that they are close to breaking through to the World Series. Atlanta did their part to bolster their depth in the rotation, inking Charlie Morton and Drew Smyly to 1-year deals. Marcell Ozuna is back, a key piece to a lineup that led the NL in OPS and was second in runs scored. The trio of Ozuna, Freddie Freeman, and Ronald Acuna gives Atlanta a formidable trio. The Braves do have questions, however. They spent the offseason looking for a third baseman, but are giving Austin Riley another chance. Smyly is hardly a bastion of health, and while he impressed last season, there is no guarantee he can replicate that success. Christian Pache has the glove of a major leaguer, but is his bat ready? Nonetheless, the Atlanta Braves appear to be the class of the NL East, but they will have plenty of competition this season. I have the Mets finishing as the wild card team. Every year it's expected the Mets will contend. Maybe this year will be the time that's proven right. On paper, they have done everything they needed to do. Francisco Lindor and James McCann drastically improved the lineup. Carlos Carrasco and Trevor May improved their depth on the pitching side, and they may have the best pitcher in the game in Jacob deGrom. But there are still plenty of questions. Noah Syndergaard is one of the better pitchers in the game when he is on the mound, but is not expected back until around midseason. Marcus Stroman did not pitch at all in 2020, spending time on the injured list before opting out of the season. Edwin Diaz looked like his dominant self again last year, but can he continue that performance in 2021? And who is Pete Alonso, the dominant rookie slugger or the player who struggled last season? The Mets appear to be a playoff contender. However, the same can be said almost every year. So I got Atlanta finishing 1. I got the Mets as a wild card team. I actually have Washington finishing 3rd. I have Miami finishing 4th. And I got Philly finishing last. I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel about it. I'm not quite as high on them as MF is, but maybe they'll surprise. You never know. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, all right. Moving on. NL Central. Michael Bullock, who do you like there?
Yeah, I mean, as far as who I think is going to come out of the NL Central, man, that's to me that's a tough one there. I mean, I have to go with the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, I think they always find a way to find themselves in this position, especially now with the addition of Nolan Arenado. And yeah, I mean, I think they could. I think they'll definitely be in it, and I think they'll definitely be the ones to come out of this winning the division. So that's how I see it. So Florio, I got the Cardinals winning it.
Good choice, but I slightly disagree. I got to go with Milwaukee. I mean, of all the teams in the NL Central, Milwaukee may be the most complete. Their rotation has promise with a formidable duo of Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff setting the tone. The bullpen has two of the best relievers in the game in Josh Hader and Devin Williams, whose airbender has become one of the most viral pitches in the game. Getting Lorenzo Cain back will help both the lineup and defense. Milwaukee also addressed any defensive shortcomings by signing Colton Wong and Jackie Bradley Jr., both of which should make their pitching even better. While those additions should help, the biggest key for the Brew Crew will be a return to form for two of their power bats. Christian Yelich had an uncharacteristically down year last year, while Keston Hiura regressed. If they can get back to their 2019 production, Milwaukee may well be the best team in the division. As it currently stands, the Milwaukee Brewers are the best team in the NL Central, but that could change in a few months. No wild card here because I have St. Louis finishing second. I got the Cubs finishing third. I believe I have Cincinnati finishing fourth. And let me see. I got the Cubs finishing third, and I got Cincinnati finishing fourth, and I got Pittsburgh finishing last. So that's my story when it comes to the NL Central. MF, what do you say?
Disagreement at the top. I got St. Louis winning the division. I got Milwaukee in 2. I got Chicago in 3, Cincy in 4, Pittsburgh 5. Florio.
Yep.
NL West.
NL West, and I think out of all the divisions, this one is going to be the easiest one to call here, especially at the top. It's going to be the Dodgers. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I'll tell you right now, I got Colorado finishing last. I have Arizona finishing fourth, and I have San Francisco finishing third. I have the Dodgers winning the division and the Padres as the wild card team. For the Dodgers, yes, the Padres may have won the offseason, but the Dodgers are likely to win the division yet again. How good are the Dodgers? David Price, making over $30 million a year, not guaranteed a spot in the rotation, and would be the fifth starter. He would be the fifth starter. I mean, wow. Mookie Betts may be one of the best players in the game and is sticking around seemingly until the end of his career. Justin Turner is back. Cody Bellinger is an excellent defensive first baseman who can play center. And Clayton Kershaw finally got that postseason monkey off his back. If there is a weakness on the Dodgers, it may be in the ninth inning. Kenley Jansen is not the closer he once was, but LA has plenty of bullpen depth. In fact, give me 1 second here. All right. In fact, it's almost impossible to find a weakness anywhere. They have excellent depth throughout their roster and a deep farm system. The Dodgers are not going anywhere for a long time. They've won the NL West for 8 straight years. Expect that to continue this year as well. Padres, wildcard team. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. High energy team, one that is filled with entertaining players to watch. Fernando Tatis Jr. may be one of the next players to become one of the faces of the game. Manny Machado has evolved into a leader and has become much more comfortable. The front office completely revamped the pitching staff in the past year, adding aces and moving a pitcher as talented as Dinelson Lamet to the third or fourth spot in the rotation. The bullpen is much deeper as well, although there are questions as to who will close. And they're not done. Mike Clevenger will be back in 2022 after missing this year due to Tommy John surgery. Their young players, Tatis included, will get another year of development and major league experience. This is a team on the upswing, one that should contend for years to come. They're not quite there yet, though. They will see their day come, but it may not be this year. So I got the Dodgers winning the division, Padres as a wild card, San Francisco finishing third, Arizona fourth, and Colorado last. MF?
Dodgers wins the division. Padres gets the second wild card. I guess I can say I don't think it really matters that just once you get to the first two. So I'd probably say that'll probably be it for me. So Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I got the Dodgers winning the winning the division as well. And I think the Padres will be the other wild card team coming out for the from the National League. So nothing more to say, Florio. Let's move on.
And one last order of business this evening, our continuing coverage of the NCAA tournament. Last weekend, it was the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. And in the Sweet 16, that started on Saturday. Oregon State continuing to impress. Number 12 seed, they beat number 8 seed Loyola of Chicago 65-58. Number 1 seed Baylor over number 5 seed Villanova 62-51. Number 3 seed Arkansas barely survives number 15 seed Oral Roberts 72-70. And number 2 seed Houston, easy win over number 11 seed Syracuse 62-46. On Sunday, number 1 seed Gonzaga, no problem with Creighton, the number 5 seed 83-65. Number 1 seed Michigan, comfortable win over number 4 seed Florida State 76-58. Number 11 seed UCLA, they're winning ways. They continue. They upset a very good Alabama team as the number 2 seed 88-78. And in the all Pac-12 matchup, it was USC, the 6th seed, over number 7 seed Oregon 82-68. Regional finals on Monday night. Number 2 seed Houston, they defeat number 12 seed Oregon State 67-61. Houston, first Final Four appearance since 1984. Phi Slamma Jamma. Number 1 seed Baylor, defeating number 3 seed Arkansas 81-72. Baylor's first trip to the Final Four since 1950. Number 1 seed Gonzaga made it look really easy against number 6 seed USC 85-66. The number 1 overall seed goes to the Final Four. Second in school history. The other was in 2017. They went to the championship game. And in the game of the Elite Eight, a screaming Michael Fletcher moment indeed. Number 11 seed UCLA busting MF's bracket by defeating his pick to win the national championship. The number 1 seed Michigan 51-49. Saturday at 5:14 p.m., the first Final Four game, number 2 seed Houston against number 1 seed Baylor. And then at approximately 8:34, the second game, number 11 seed UCLA against number 1 seed Gonzaga. Oh, man. So, yep. So, obviously, Bullock has called it a night. So, no surprise there. So, we'll start it off with the voice of March Madness, MF. You saw everything. Unfortunately, your bracket's been busted. Michigan went down to UCLA on Tuesday night. And what was the game of the regional finals, 51-49. You've got the games here. Houston, Baylor, UCLA, Gonzaga. Who's playing for the national championship come Monday night?
Well, this is going to be very interesting. Like I said, going into this, I believe I had Houston. Well, the original final that I had was going to be Houston versus Michigan. That was my original final going in. Baylor right now looks like a team that looks possessed. They look really good. They could definitely easily make it to the end. There's no doubt about it. They were the second best team all year long behind Gonzaga. I gotta say it. Unless Houston starts draining threes and really can figure out how to stop Baylor, Baylor is going to go to the national championship game. I think they will be playing on Monday night for the title. On the other side, I know everybody's saying it's Gonzaga. UCLA is a team you do not want to face. And let me tell you, if there's one thing that I've seen in all my years of college basketball, is that when a team that is hungrier, who's an underdog, and nobody thinks has a chance to win, they are the most dangerous of them all. Everybody thinks Gonzaga's gonna railroad UCLA. But here's the thing. I've seen this play out twice in my lifetime. 1991, UNLV, undefeated, number 1 overall, ran up against Duke. And need I remind you, the year before, Duke got blown out by 30 in the national championship game. In that night, in that stadium, and as a matter of fact, it was actually at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. We witnessed one of the greatest upsets in NCAA history when Duke knocked off UNLV. And then a game that I did just a few years ago, Wisconsin against Kentucky. Kentucky, number 1 overall seed, undefeated, destroying everybody left and right, got tripped up in the Final Four by a Wisconsin team, and that was a major upset on that night. Anthony, the stars are starting to align. I think we might get it again. I honestly believe in my mind. Even though I think Gonzaga could win this and win it easily, and I could be wrong, but this has the makings of a Duke UNLV. I truly mean it. I think UCLA has a shot to knock off Gonzaga. Too many people are counting UCLA out. And I really believe this is a motivator for UCLA because nobody thinks they're going to win this game, let alone win the national championship. I think they're going to figure out a way to slow down Gonzaga, and I'm going to pull the ultimate trigger. It's going to happen. UCLA goes to the national championship game. They drop Gonzaga in the Final Four. It's going to be a monster shakeup in the NCAA. I hate to say it, I think your bracket's going to get busted on Saturday night. I think mine got broken by UCLA. I think UCLA does the unthinkable. They knock you right out of the tournament, Florio. I think your bracket gets busted on Saturday because there's something about this team. There's something about UCLA, and everybody is disrespecting them. And I mean everybody is disrespecting them. They're getting so much bulletin board material. I think they're going to come out hungry. I think they're going to come out fighting. And I honestly believe it. If they play the way that they played against Michigan, they're going to pull this off. And who knows? You might hear me say, oh my, the biggest upset in this tournament, number 1 overall, goes down to UCLA on Saturday. I think it's going to happen.
Fair enough. And it very easily could. You never know. But I'm certainly not going to disrespect UCLA. I mean, this UCLA was the last team I wanted Gonzaga to face. But here they are. And I have the point spreads. Baylor opening up as a 5-point favorite against Houston.
That's fair.
And Gonzaga. And I know, MF, you're going to say this is disrespectful. But Gonzaga is opening up as a 14-point favorite against UCLA.
Exactly. They're making my point. They're literally making my point right now. That's exactly what I am talking about when I'm talking about the disrespect. I think when they were going up against Michigan, I think they had Michigan as like a 7-point favorite going in, and they underestimated UCLA.
Okay, so but both of these are, you can make an argument. Both of these are tough. I mean, it could easily go either way. I mean, Gonzaga looks to be the first undefeated national champion since the Indiana Hoosiers in 1976. It's been 45 years since we've seen something like that. And you never know. It could happen. And I'm definitely concerned. There is no question about that. Very concerned. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But at the end, though, as I look at it, I mean, I got Baylor. I mean, each of these Texas-based former members of the Southwest Conference wants to beat you with threes, offensive rebounds, and physical momentum-shifting defense. Houston is better at blocking shots and has the much better defensive field goal percentage. But be sure to consider the grain of salt that the Cougars faced a much less formidable schedule. Houston relies more heavily on three-pointers, while Baylor makes them much more frequently. In a similar situation in the Sweet 16, the more efficient, less dependent UCLA ended up with 3 more triples than Alabama. My assumption is that neither team will be able to create a significant advantage in rebounds or turnovers, and that will simply boil down to which squad does a better job of making buckets. If that's the case, Baylor should win somewhat convincingly, albeit in a rather low-scoring affair. I got Baylor beating Houston 69-62. As far as Gonzaga and UCLA goes, had this game been on the calendar 3 weeks ago, everyone under the sun, everybody and their mothers under the sun would have been picking Gonzaga to win by at least 15, if not more. But after 5 consecutive wins, one almost cannot help but get that twinge of, well, maybe, with the Bruins. However, history has not been kind to number 11 seeds in the Final Four. UCLA joins LSU in 1986, George Mason in 2006, VCU in 2011, and Loyola of Chicago in 2018 on the list of 11s to get this far. All 4 of those teams lost, and the only one that didn't lose by double digits was VCU. Those Rams lost by 8 to number 8 seed Butler. And I don't think we're breaking any news here by letting you know this year's Gonzaga team is better than that Butler team was. Mad respect to UCLA for getting this far. Even once when we got to the Sweet 16, I never thought the Bruins could get through both Alabama and Michigan this past week. But I'm sorry, MF. With all due respect, I think this is going to be the end of the line, though. Gonzaga is simply too dominant on offense to lose to a team that has yet to reach 80 points in regulation in this tournament. I have Gonzaga defeating UCLA 89-73. And at the end of the day, I have Gonzaga and Baylor for the national championship. And I have Gonzaga winning the national championship, defeating Baylor. 86-79 is my final score in that game. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And this game could pretty much determine the bracket manager. I mean, it's very close when it comes to it. The only downside is I was hoping for a good turnout. Unfortunately, I didn't really get that because Michael Bullock and Matt Ward forgot to put their picks in. That was my fault. I should have reached out to them beforehand. So it ended up being a one-on-one between myself and MF. And we're neck and neck. We are literally neck and neck. MF is actually still winning. Albeit, I believe, by only 1 point, I think. But according to the standings here. And this game right here is most certainly going to determine who will win the bracket manager between myself and MF. MF, you lead by 1. MF has a 1 point lead, 86-85. So this game will be very could be well significant as to who will win the bracket manager. If Gonzaga wins, then that pretty much means I'm going to win. But if they lose, then that opens the door for MF. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll let you know about that soon. But for right now, that's going to put the bow on this edition of Strictly Sports. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in this evening. We'll be back with you tomorrow night over on MF's channel, Race Fan 95, for another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, as we will review Friday Night SmackDown, the second to last show before WrestleMania. And then we'll be off for the weekend. And then WrestleMania week. In case you didn't hear it from MF last night, it starts Monday night with Ridiculously Raw. We will review Monday Night Raw. And on top of that, instead of the Tony's Take, we are going to preview both nights of NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. And then we'll be off on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we'll be back on Thursday with a special Thursday night edition of Thursday Night Mayhem. So there will not be a Strictly Sports show next week. Our next show will be back in 2 weeks. We'll address the docket when we get to it. But as of now, we will recap the national championship and the Final Four. And we'll also address a couple of retirements, including Roy Williams and Tuukka Rask and some other things. We'll get into that in 2 weeks. But for right now, next Thursday, we will have a special Thursday night edition of Wednesday Night Mayhem. We're going to review AEW Dynamite, and we're going to review NXT TakeOver both nights. And then next Friday, Cerebral Smack Talk, we will review Friday Night SmackDown, the go-home show for WrestleMania, and we will preview WrestleMania. And then Saturday, we will recap night 1 of WrestleMania 37, and I will be pinch hitting for MF due to work commitments beyond his control. But then on Sunday night, April 11th, we will have the night 2 recap of WrestleMania, and that will be hosted by MF. So very exciting stuff. We can't wait. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, Anthony Florio here signing off on behalf of my panel, good old MF Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Didi Woodson and Derek Ferreira. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Strictly Sports right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune Forest style. And bye for now, my friends. And until tomorrow night, for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Strictly Sports right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And for everybody who's been a part of this one, Anthony Florio saying for now, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.